Welcome to the podcast. Today, my guest is Kevin Keepa.
G'day, Scott. Yo, what's up, everybody?
Did I say that correctly?
You did. Keepa.
Keepa. Because I've heard it pronounced.
Keepa.
I've heard it pronounced Kepa before.
Yes.
It's not that though. Or it is.
It can be construed as Keepa for Māori, for our Māori people back home. Because I am from Aotearoa, New Zealand, obviously. But it's actually Keepa. Yeah, it is Keepa. Yeah.
In the traditional American sense of the word.
Yes, and the colonial sense of the word. Yeah. Kevin. You think I'd have some gloriously chieftain Māori name like, Tuamanawhili or some gosh damn thing like that, but it's Kevin.
Kevin.
But, yeah, my mum called me, she used to call me Kapuni, which meant crybaby. So,
oh, really?
So that was,
That's not a very nice thing to call your kid.
Well, I used to cry all the time, drive my father crazy to the point of just want to throw me out the window, Apparently. That's what my mum said to me years ago, bro, but who knows? People want to throw me out the window now, so it's years later. So, yeah, all good.
When did you realise that you could sing?
On a professional basis or just...
Well, I guess it's one of those things. It's very heavy in Maori culture to sing.
It is, yes.
So... is that something, I guess, that would have been very much encouraged when you were young?
Yeah, I was around it a lot, but I'm actually was born in one place, but was brought up in another in New Zealand, which is down the top of the South Island, in Marlborough or Picton.
Okay.
So the music down there, because we as Māori, we tend to head towards the R&B, the soul music. Like I watched Danny Fife's pod. Hey, Dan, what's up, brother? And he was like, he loves rock, Aussie rock. Me too, man. Because that's all that was on the radio down south. It's actually really that north-south.
So really, really influenced heavily by what was being played on radio?
On the radio, yeah, I was. Because in terms of like Motown, which, we love and all these other groups like the Temptations, you got the Temptations, the Four Tops, and all that kind of music, which you would think that I listened to. I never heard the song "My Girl" till 1986, and that was an ad on TV, because I was too busy listening to Hall and Oates, some of the greatest, man, Toto. I'm there, man. For Aussie in Australia, I just love Little River Band. So those are my influences musically.
Oh, wow.
And I'd always go there first.
Yep.
So because that's all I know. So, and then I learnt. Let's come from a singer's point of view. I learnt that music, and then I heard this music, and I learnt that, and I found that I could sing it as well. Because I would sing it all the time,
Was there much learning of traditional Maori music?
There was. At the beginning, when I was in my 9 or 10 years old, a lot of Māori influence there. Between the years of 11 to 13, 14, I was getting into a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble with the law, ending up in boys' homes, incarcerated as a youngster. And there were things that happened to me to do with our Māori culture that traumatized the shit out of me. So I hated it. I hated our culture because of that. And I kind of still do today because of that. I can't speak fluent Māori, and I wish I could. And if I had taken time to listen to my grandmother way back before she, and our teachers at school, it wasn't their fault, man. It wasn't their fault. It was just those times, when I was 10 years old, it was 1981. That's a whole different time, man. And my parents were was a lot of booze going on, a lot of parties. So I learned music there too. When like my father had 5 close friends, like my Uncle Snow, my Uncle Peppy, and they would all be singing in the lounge. So I'm supposed to be in bed, so I'd be sitting at the kitchen door while they don't know and listening to what's going on. And, it's, how can there be a song with that Māori kapahaka vibrato, that. But I learned that, and I learned the tone of one of my uncles, and he just seemed to get higher and higher and higher. So I'd go out and practice it, and then I'd get caught at the door by my man and get a clip on the ear and get back to fucking bed. And so, as I said, but from between the ages of 11 and 13, I think music to me was, I learnt from a more traumatic.
There's a lot of violence in that culture?
Yes and no. I can't talk for anybody else back in there of the same age as me as Māori.
Yeah.
But for me personally, only when there was booze in the mix. Oh. My father was a very, very fucking violent man when he got pissed. I too am. I'm a nuisance when I get drunk. And I know there's a point for me. And once I get past that point, it's probably why I've stopped drinking heavily. Like, I used to drink heavily. I mean, we can touch on that anytime we want, but I'll try and compact it down, but getting back to my father, he'd go out for days and days and come back wasted and just fucking, can upturn the table of food while you're sitting there and, just bash the shit out of us just for something easy, something simple like that. My mother was different. She still give you a hiding, but when she got drunk, I loved my mum.
Yeah.
But my father, I loved him too, but he's just a fucking, it was those days, and it's a whole different thing to what it is now. I mean, choose the belt, choose the fucking ironing cable, or choose that, and that's what you get a hiding with. Or, he'll hit you until blood comes out,
Wow.
So it's very traumatic, and sometimes you turn to things that'll take you away from that, which was music for me. Yeah, so, yeah.
So when did you first start singing professionally?
Well, I lived in Wellington, so as I said, these torrid years of mine when I was younger, I was incarcerated in Wellington, and then I went back up to Taranaki, up to New Plymouth, where my mum lived. She couldn't handle me up there because I was just 15 years old and just uncontrollable. And I think one of my aunties said, man, you're going to jail. You'll be in jail before you're 17, 18. I believe that. And I went to Auckland. My mum sent me to Auckland because she couldn't handle me there. So I went up to my auntie's house. I stayed with them.
Just a short interruption to say thank you for watching the podcast. Please subscribe, make a comment, like, share. It all helps in spreading the podcast far and wide, and it's much appreciated. Thank you very much.
I stayed with them, and I got kicked out of there as well. So I ended up down at Wellington at my Auntie Eva's house, auntie, and she took me in. No matter, she just took me in, because didn't care. She didn't care. My mum's sister. She didn't care what I was like. She took me in. She put me into Porirua. There was a car plant there. I used to work for Mitsubishi Motors on the van line, on the assembly line as a 16, 17-year-old. And then we got made redundant. And by then I had a girlfriend, my partner of the time, and I had a young boy, Kaylin, and one on the way. And we got made redundant, so I didn't have any money at all. So I really started professionally just to get a job, man, because fucking it's 87, 86, and
Got to make some money.
Different times, bro. Today, this, and I had to figure out, fuck, how am I going to get some money? But I knew how to sing. I'd been to a few parties, a few guitar chords. I mean, I'm a shit guitar player, but
you can make it. You get by.
Yeah, I know a D minor, I know A minor. I just don't know how to put them together for a song unless I teach them. Like Aaron West, can I just go off script?
Sure.
I'd talk about Aaron. I was listening to his one, man, and like, actually, by the way, Westy, you haven't talked to me. I'm sending you a text. I think he's angry with me. Fucking come at me, bro.
I can't see how West would be angry with anyone.
No. So, anyway, because I'd send him a text. He's no answer. I said, bro, what are you doing? Bro. Anyway, but he lets me play, right? When I do a gig with Aaron, and I was listening to the podcast on the way here. I just want to get an idea of what you do. It's talked about, because I've been watching a few of them. And you guys talk about Fenders and Marshalls and real technical kind of stuff.
Well, sometimes if the person's of that sort of nature, then absolutely we'll talk about that.
Of course, and so you should, right?
Yes.
And I'm thinking to myself on the drive over, I go, fuck, to me it's just guitar. It's just, you just pick one up and you play, you know, and then you hear more, and I'm like, oh. So it's kind of like a penny drop for me, like, there are some musos that just look at you and go, no, bro, you're not playing that fucking guitar, you know, because you can't, right? And there are some that just, yeah, man, go for it.
Man, he's a very encouraging person.
And that's why
Westy
I love
is.
him. I love all of you, actually. That's why I love him so very much.
Yeah.
And then there are other great musos. I mean, I'll name a few, but we won't go there because I'll be here all day.
But you needed to make some money.
Yes, sorry. I went right off things.
That's
Sorry.
all right.
You can edit that out.
That's all right. No, it'll be fine. So were you busking?
Yep.
Or see, busking.
Yep, busking. A friend of mine come home, he pulled all these coins out, you know, and, you know, it used to feed our drug habit. I used to smoke weed, like, all the time. And I said, hey, where'd you get that from? He goes, he played the harp. And he goes, oh, bro, I just play the harp in Wellington. I just go to the city and just busk. And I knew how to play guitar. And that's what I decided, you know, I'm fucking going to try that. So I ended up at a party in Wellington, and I was playing the guitar all night long. And I'm on my way home, and I got no money to get on the train to come home, and I wanted some cigarettes. And I've told the story a million times, by the way. And I just decided, walking through the city of Wellington, I saw a busker. I said, if you're going to do it, now's the time, because you need to get home.
Yep.
And you want a cigarette. And probably you're hungry too, so just fucking let's try and get $5 to $10, you know? Yeah. So that's how it started, bro. So I remember the first song was Easy. And I even tried to sing like professionally for money. Is busking professional?
Well, if you're getting paid, I guess it is.
Well, that was the first song. And it was like, I know it sounds funny, but I just can't stand the pain. Because, you know, to me, everyone's like walking by you and they're looking down at you. And if I get a job, marry boy, and all that sort of shit. Yeah. But that's on my mind. That's what I thought.
Yes.
It probably wasn't. They're just in their own world trying to get to work and whatever. But, you know. But you have that insecurity about singing in public for the very first time.
Oh, man.
Whereas
I remember singing in front of a couple of mates at band rehearsal, and I was shaking like a leaf.
Yeah, bro.
That's let alone get out in public to do it.
Yeah. Whereas just hours earlier, just boom, boom, one after the other, just sing party songs, you know, but totally different ballgame. But yeah, so yeah, easy. And that same busker I saw, who came by, and he ended up being my Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Ah.
Because he saw me, he walked past me, he looked at me, and he walked off, and then he stopped. I saw him, and he stopped just down the street. His name was Jimmy, Jim. I forgot his last name, Māori name. He came back, and he said, he looked at me and goes, bro, you mind if I throw down with you, bro? You mind if I sing some songs with you, bro? You know, in a real stern kind of commanding it. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, cool, no worries, you know. And he just come, bro, he just threw his gat down, threw the case down. You know, I got a little shirt open, you know, just crunched up shirt, like fucking 10 or 20 cents in it. Oh, I think it was about 35 cents, you know. And he just belted out. He just opened his mouth and just went for it and just sung at the top of his lungs. And that was another penny drop for me. I went, oh, fuck, that's how you do it.
Got to grab people's attention.
You know, that's how you do it. So,
to make enough money to get the bus to get the train home.
He said to me, he goes, look, I've got to go, bro. But he sang out, you know, nobody chopped anything in there for the great singer that he was. But he said, I've got to go, bro. But before I go, he says, if you're going to do it, just do it. Just fuck all these motherfuckers here. Excuse my language, everybody. Fuck all these motherfuckers here, bro. He says, I said, I can tell you what, there's a pub down the street there. And he goes, and if you stick around here till 1 o'clock in the morning, I mean, they're on their way to that pub and they're sober as fuck, bro, you know. They're sober as fuck. But on the way back, you know, if you play Stairway to Heaven or some fucking song like that, this is going to empty the whatever into you. And it was true, bro. It did. So he says, stick around because at closing time, they're going to want to party on the way home, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I did. I stuck around. I stuck around till 3 when all the clubs was, you know, ending out and people coming out and the mall was full and fucking Stairway to Heaven. I couldn't play that to save my life. But I'm singing, you know, bloody Creedence and Eagles. I can't tell you how many times I sang Hotel California that night with my fucked up chords. But yeah, and I come away with something like $400 in coins, and which in 88 was quite a lot of money.
Quite a lot more than you had expected.
Well, it was 1 week's pay doing the it's actually
in one night.
Yeah, it was $35 more than what I was making a week doing the car thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it just blew my mind, and I got all this change in my pockets. And
so that's a lot of positive reinforcement to go back and do it again.
Yeah, and it became my job. I decided, fuck, I'm doing this. And I went back the next Friday night. And I went Thursday, Friday. I tried Monday all the way through. But you don't want to go Monday because no one just, you know, everyone's broke. Am I arrogant to say that? I'm not. But, you know, so I decided Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I'm going into Wellington. And then I found that, you know, there are other buskers too. And, you know, if I can get into their posies, bro. Yeah, and we ended
a bit territorial.
Very territorial. Very territorial. And I know now why, and I realize why.
Because they were making
some good money, man.
Yeah.
You know, they were making some fucking good money. I mean, if you're passing a busker in the street even today, I'm telling you, they're driving a nice car. Sorry, right? Yeah. But, you know, and it became my job, and I would clear nearly 400, 350 a night easily. And it turned into like $1,500, $1,200, $1,300 over 4 days. And that's when I started. That's when I did. And I found that the more I sang in the street with buses going by where you had to sing, my range got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then I found I had a really big range. And I'm not.
You've got a very impressive range.
Yeah. Like I have this thing I say, like, I could sing some girl songs better than the girls. You know? It's a very arrogant thing to say, but I say that confidently, you know, and I'm sorry, but I do.
But it's very true.
I mean, like, looking out on the pouring rain. I found that I could sing that in the street, you know. I used to feel so uninspired. And I had to sort of, you know, I could go from that to another one, or an R&B Casey and JoJo thing. I found that I could do that just by, so... And I've been at it for nearly 40 years ever since. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've done a lot of different stuff. I mean, I've heard you sing everything from Frank Sinatra to AC/DC.
Yeah.
Did you actually ever have any lessons to coach you with your singing? Because obviously you've got a great technique.
No.
None at all?
I think the street stuff was a lot of lessons that I learnt there. Because it was raw and it was...
Well, the other thing I was going to say is your technique must be good because I know you've done this thing where you might gig 6, 7, 8 gigs a week.
Yeah.
And your voice is always rock solid.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I think Danny spoke about the fact that you might go out partying all night, get up the next morning, and at even 8 o'clock in the morning, get up and your voice is just there.
Yeah. I don't know, bro. I'm like, it even shocks me too. It's very, very, very not often that, unless I'm singing under aircon, you know, but that's anyone, right? And
yeah,
you get
can dry you out.
But yeah, just to get up and back it up time after time. Is it because it became a habit? I'm not sure. I just
You're obviously doing something right.
I can do it, but I feel there's so much more in the tank, still plenty in the tank after a 6-hour gig.
So you're doing gigs
shouldn't
in New Zealand. You're doing busking. Did you ever sing with a band or anything like that in New Zealand?
No, not till I met Dan.
Tell us about the circumstances about meeting Danny.
I was busking. It was a rainy night, Thursday night, and I was outside. I was in a place called where was I? Manners Mall. I don't know. I didn't see. So if Danny said this, I'm sure. And he was walking down the street, and he had a girl in his arm because he's a good-looking bloke, bro. Danny is like Mr. Smooth. Like, tell you now, it's like, God damn.
He's got that $1 million smile.
Oh, bro, he had that whole Bobby Brown haircut. Good looking cat, man. He's dressed to the nines. You know, I'm in my track pants and some sneaks and a fucking t-shirt. It's in the rain, and I'm singing my ass off. And he just trundles by with his girl. Hey, man, can I have a crack on your guitar? And he's like, yeah, man, yeah, bro. He just, you don't have to be beautiful. He's saying kiss, bro. You know, and that's how I met Dan. Very briefly, and I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then, you know, he went on his way, and I never caught up with him again until maybe a few weeks later, when another guy, Damien Keepa, approached me in the street. He'd sat there all night, and he was actually looking at me and like, because I was singing one song after the other, you know, loud, clear, you know, and he was just like, I thought it was fucking, you know, he's giving me the old, hey, you going? Hello, sailor. But it wasn't. He was from Lower Hutt where Danny was, and he was in a group with Danny. So I didn't know it was Danny. Like, you know, I met this guy earlier.
Yeah.
And now here's another guy that's with this guy that I met earlier, but we didn't really meet. You know what I mean? So and he came up to me, I've got a group in Lower Hutt. Love to see you come and audition for the group. Now I was like, what's the group? And he goes, oh, it's like a, you know, because the groups of the time were coming out, you know, that's that whole New Jack Swing thing. Teddy Riley and Guy and Bobby Brown, and New Edition, and all those sort of things. And the New Jack Swing thing, you know, the New Jack Swing, the R&B was starting to come in, and it was like R. Kelly before he got in trouble. R. Kelly, you know, all that kind of stuff. Vibe was out. My Prerogative, those songs were coming out, and they were in the clubs, and they were, you know, they're fresh off the. I mean, they're old school. They're considered old school today, but they're fresh off the pipe, man. Yeah. That was the shit, you know, and that's everyone was going to the club, fucking banging out to those, and they were doing it. Damien and Danny ran the biggest karaoke show in Lower Hutt. He was running it, and yeah, that's how I met Dan. So I went and auditioned on the Monday. Damien asked me, give me your phone number, and I said, oh, bro, I look like I got a phone, because it wasn't, you know, it's like still that. It was, you know, and we.
For those people who don't know, the young people, the phone actually had a round dial, and you had to stick your finger in the little hole and turn to dial a number.
Yeah, that's right. Or you, the one without it, you go, hello, operator, can I get number?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Or the phone box, you know, just normal phone box. So, yeah. I mean, I look like I got a number. And he said, well, can you just be at a place called Courtney's at such and such a time? So I went Monday morning and I met Dan. Dan worked there doing the karaoke, but he also worked in the restaurant part as well.
Okay.
So he had an apron on and walking around the... Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. I outed you. No, I didn't. No, he wasn't. There was no one in there. It was like closed. So he was just in there doing some stuff. I'm not sure now. I'm not going to get in trouble. Yeah. So, yeah. And we formed this group, Temperatures Rising. And sort of that's when I went from street to stage.
How did that go? So obviously you're making a relatively good amount of money doing busking.
Yeah.
What was the offer to come and do the thing with the other guys? Was it just a case of, hey, this is really cool, I get to hang out with other guys? Or was it a case of, it's a step up? How did you see it from your point of view? What was the motivation for you to go and do it?
The whole visual of it, I guess, because street was raw, street was, you know, when I think about it, I mean, geez, should have thought about that, and sort of concentrated on the guitar playing, sort of real live aspect of it. And I'm not saying what we did and what I'm still doing today is not real.
Yeah.
But there's a sense of non-realism to it as well. So, but the whole look of it, the music of the time, and the image of the image. Like I have this saying today, bro. It's like people hear with what they see.
Yeah,
musically.
They listen with their eyes.
Yes, they listen with their eyes, and that was the same thing. Back then it was like that too. That's when I realized that the whole vision of it, the group thing, the dance moves, the singing went out the door a lot.
That would have been a massive learning curve for you.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to Danny's podcast with you, right, and he said he'd learned harmonies and all that. I hadn't, so. He was all up to date with all that, but I don't know what.
How did you find? Was that an easy thing? Did it come easily to you, or did you have to work really hard at it?
Bro, some of the fucking shit we did was just shocking, bro. At the time, I thought, wow, I'm like, wow, it's so good, But when I hear it back, I got videos from Damien of some stuff that we did when we were younger.
Yeah,
man, I'm only 20, 21 years old. And I thought, yeah, I can sing, so I'm going to get in a group, and I'm going to be like, we're going to go off it. Everything's going to be great. And it was, because of the music of the time, because the image we were trying to portray was that American group image thing, R&B, Teddy Riley thing. And, to be honest, bro, it was for, I craved and loved the attention. I found the attention that I was getting from the opposite sex too, the free drinks, but the money wasn't.
It wasn't the big part of it.
Nah, it was, and
I guess you get some comradeship too. You're not out there on your own. You've got other guys you can lean on. And
yeah, that's where a part of me changed as well. And I turned into someone who just sang to feed his family, into someone who sang, and I became arrogant. And I regret these things so badly. And I've said it to Dan a lot. I changed as progressed, and we were going into clubs now, right, bro? And out there on the street, it was raw, it was true, it was just you, right? You had no one to. All I was trying to do was feed the family, feed my kid, right? And that's honest. That's an honest thing to do. Soon as I swapped from that and went into the group singing with that whole club in the club thing, it just went. I just turned so bad, became arrogant. I am the group a lot. You wouldn't be here without me. But that's what I thought. I thought I was the strongest singer in the group. Everyone's coming to see me. I just fucking turned, bro.
Ego got the better of you?
Ego, massive ego. And I had so much respect for Dan at the time. And there was Damien Kumain, and I'm not afraid to admit it today that I shat on all of those guys. Really, I did, with my attitude. If I'd have just learnt to just be a bit more humble and just, I drink, girls all around. You just get that attention, bro, and you think you're at the top of your shit when,
Do you think that the influence that you had from when you were a youngster from your dad had an effect when you...
Absolutely. I think what I went through as a youngster, it turned me into... But I kept it in, I kept it within myself. I mean, bro, I'm going to say this. I was molested as a kid, as a teenager.
Wow.
In those years, 13 to 15, as we went back to culture, let's talk about our Māori culture just very briefly, by someone who was supposed to be looking after me.
Wow.
In the Māori culture. We had this thing called mātua whāngai, and I was levelled in to live with someone who I was supposed to be looked after by, like fostered. No. So I blame that, but it's fucking sad, bro. fucking just, even to talk to you about it now. So it's good to, there's been a lot of trauma. I've seen a lot of shit in my time, bro.
You have.
And I've when I talk about that young boy that I went to try and busk for, Kalen, he passed away in 2007. He took his own life, I blame myself for that because, and I'm not blaming Dan, and I'm not blaming Damien, and I'm not blaming the music, and I'm not blaming I blame myself because I became this arrogant fuck, bro, this fucking, this son of a bitch, and I just thought I was the best at everything, and they all come to see me, all that sort of shit, and I even left, the woman I was with, and I left my son behind as well, and I've done that all my life. I've got kids that are estranged from me that don't want to talk to me anymore, because of the person that I am. I mean, it's hard to talk to you about it now, but on this sort of platform, but it's also, I'm being real.
Yeah.
So I went from honest, trying to get a job, into this other, it just changed me, man. And
at some point, you're doing that stuff with those guys, you end up coming to Australia. What was the impetus for you to leave New Zealand and come to Australia?
Again, Dan. I mean, I owe that brother a great deal of everything about myself. And because him and I, we didn't leave on the best of terms. He left New Zealand to come here to work on the Island Queen showboats. I'm sure he spoke to you about that,
Yep.
He came here. I think he came here to get away from what was happening back home. And he came, and kudos to him, man. He made the best decision. Did it snowball? Have a lot of us come over? Fuck yeah, it did,
Yeah.
And I'm only proud, and I'm only glad, and I will be eternally grateful to him for getting me out of there too. He didn't have to.
No.
He did not have to, especially after all things I'd done back home while we were together singing back home, to all the and they weren't good things, very regretful things, but we all do bullshit, bro.
Yeah.
Danny, he'd agree that he's had his fair share of fucking fuck-ups too back home, and we all do.
Yeah. Man, it's one of those things, man. It's like you make mistakes. I guess the biggest issue is do you learn from your mistakes? That's the thing.
I don't think I really have, even to this day. I'm still that same person, but I think as I've aged, I've realised, okay, but I still am that arrogant son of a bitch because I know I'm good at what I do, and I like to, I wish I could just, because I haven't really climbed any mountains, bro, right? I'm not like that 1%. I'm not fucking, I haven't gone anywhere, but I've climbed a few hills in my time.
Well, you've done a few things that have been quite good.
I have done a lot of things that I'm very proud of done, and there are so many things I haven't either. So
You and Danny have done groups together and then done things apart as well. But the big thing that you guys did together with Nuz is you went on a TV show.
Oh yeah.
And although you didn't win, you ended up signing a recording contract
Yes, we did.
and recorded and did a few pretty cool gigs.
Yep.
Particularly back in New Zealand.
Yep.
Given all that, what would you say would be a highlight of all the things that you've done? What's something that you could go, okay, that was absolutely amazing. I'm so glad that I did that.
Well, there's a few. Are we talking in terms of the Koi Boys with Dan and Nuz?
Well,
or
in
just
terms of
personal?
anything that you've done,
Personally,
anything that you've done that's not, if it's the Koi Boys thing, great, but if it's something else.
I think in terms of the Koi Boys, because there was a great journey that we had there. It opened up a lot of doors for us that probably we should have stepped through, but we didn't, together. Probably back home, New Zealand, in front of, I think it was 30,000 people out at Auckland for the carols there. That was massive. I mean, like, holy shit! Like, and being back home doing that.
Yeah.
Going back to my roots, back to where I was born, and having all the people who where I'm from come out to watch us. That was another big one for me. So, but on a personal note, I think the most enjoyable part of my singing is, since I first decided to do it, was when I was singing in that mall for the first time, and I had people coming out and just sitting in front of me just to listen and eat and listen, and I could feel that they were actually there to watch me. So
Yeah.
it was that was the best feeling I ever had, because once you do, when you know, it's all connection, and I knew I was connecting with people. So I'd say that, yeah.
And I guess that's when that happens for the very first time. It's a completely unique, new experience that you've never felt before.
No, not that one. There's been a lot of them, you know, because that's what it is, a connection, right? Without it, you know, it's just singing or performing. Would I be correct?
I think it's different for everyone. I think
Yeah.
everybody has different motivations. Everybody gets something different from it. Some people do music and it's a personal thing to them,
Yeah.
and it just so happens other people enjoy it.
Yeah.
I think I'm sort of a little bit in that thing. It's like, I love playing the music. For me, it's great to play to a packed room full of people, but for me, it doesn't matter whether I'm playing to a room full of people or nobody. As long as I'm doing it, there's a certain level of joy and satisfaction just from playing without even having an audience.
I used to think like that, Scott, but I don't now. I these days, especially these days, I just think fucking no one gives a fuck, you know. But that's just me, bro.
I think people do. I think the difficulty of these days is there is a lot more distractions. And people are very distracted. They're on their phone. If you go to a club and play, there's 100 TV screens.
Right. It's the ultimate fucking...
There's a lot of distractions.
Yeah.
And I think people do care, and people do, and I think there are people who are fans of music who will go out and they're specifically there to see someone play music. And I think there are people that it's like, oh, there's a noise in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
People are all different, and they have different reasons for doing what they do.
Yeah. I guess so.
I guess this is what we're talking about with this podcast, is trying to work out what are the reasons why you did what you did.
Yeah.
In some ways. And I guess you have a true love of music. You can hear it when you sing.
Yeah. That's probably the only time when I'm actually in the zone of it. That's when things, you know, they leave, and I'm a true believer. People write songs for a reason. It's how they feel. There could be things going on in their lives. So you just be true to whatever that is, right? Unless it's a booty song, which I've done a few of those, bro. But you know, I like to project myself to a place.
Yep.
When I'm singing, and like.
What's your favourite song to sing? Do you have a favourite?
Oh, there's a lot, bro. I couldn't sort of narrow it down to one. I love Michael McDonald, so I'm in that yacht rock area, bro, and I'll never leave it, even though I can switch over to another, and we'll switch over to another. I love Motown and all that, but I'm Daryl Hall, John Oates, 100,000%. You know,
Late 70s, early 80s.
Sharrock, you know, Farnham. I love to sing that music. I really do. Toto, you know. I sent Toto an email a couple of weeks ago. I was going to put me singing Rosanna. Please, can I join your band? What an idiot.
Well, I mean, you can sing the stuff, that's for sure.
I can, but I know they're coming to Blues Fest, right?
Yeah.
And I've started a new venue, and there's a place right next door, right? And it's can seat about 500 people. And I emailed Toto and I went, I've got a venue can fit 500 people in it. Would they like to come to there, you know? I got a reply, bro, you know, from them. So was it Steve?
Steve Lukather?
Steve, yeah, Lukather. I mean, Steve Lukather, bro, you know, far out. He didn't actually reply. It was his PR. I go, no. There's
Well,
just not enough people.
I think they're
right?
contractually obligated where they can't. They're doing a gig in Sydney and Melbourne, but because of Blues Fest, they can't play within the same area.
Oh yeah. Well, you know,
So
I called the top of the email. Was it a Halo pass or some fucking thing? That's what. Sorry, bro. It was quite
That's
off topic.
fine.
But Toto, as I said, Hall and Oates, Eagles, all of those guys, all those great bands. And if I was to really bring it down, Baker Street, I love. There's a voice I have, right, which I hate, and that's that raspy, gravelly bastard that I do.
Yep.
And recorded, you know, like Westy was saying, you know, when you get in a recording studio, you can't fucking lie, man, you know?
No.
You cannot lie. And you could spend 1 hour, I'm sure you've been there with vocalists, like, no, this note. And they hit it just under, no, this note. And you want to auto-tune the fuck out of it, right? But and what Mark Watson, God bless his soul, likes to call pissing on it. Hang on, bro, let me piss on this. Sorry, Marky. Been in the studio. Because we did 2 albums with Mark, right?
Yeah.
Koi Boys.
yeah, bloody great albums too.
Eh? Have you heard them?
I have.
Oh, so you're the one. You're the one out of all of us.
No, I love Mark, and
Yeah.
he's great at what he does.
He is. But there were times when Mark looked at me and goes, I went, yeah, man, just piss on it. Because we were going to be here all day. Now, yeah, but I like that sweet me, that sort of, I don't know, I've heard myself recorded. Like, and there's a song on the album that we wrote, the Shake It album. And I just hate the way I sound, right? But
Oh, really?
But it suits it. But I just hate it because it's raspy and it's too edgy.
And you like it when your voice is nice and clean and clear.
Yeah, well, but without pissing on it, you know? And there are a lot of times, man, when I get in the studio and I've been in, like, you know, a few studios, and I say, I can hear it, and I'm just, but I guess that's everybody. I mean, you're always your own.
Oh, your own worst critic.
Yeah, when it's actually right, but.
I know that you've come and recorded for a couple of different things for me in the studio here,
Yeah.
and you do a great job.
Do I?
I think you did a great job. I think it was that what was it for the Jesse's for? Have you heard the album that Jesse recorded, the one that you sang on?
No.
Oh, I'll have to give you a copy before you go today.
Please. I'd like to hear that. Like.
Jess McGarry.
Oh yes, Jess. Yes.
Yeah, you remember Jess?
Yes, I remember Jess, but I never ever saw that album. I never knew what became of that.
Oh, yeah,
Tell
it's a great album too.
Is it? Tell you the truth, bro, I don't.
Danny sang on it. You sang on it.
I can't remember coming in and doing it.
Baby, and I remember the first time that I met you. And I remember the first time that I laid my eyes on you. I knew that I loved you.
Yeah, from the first day we met, I was hanging with some friends. You were hanging.
I've been at it for 30 years now, like professionally. So I've been around the traps a little bit. So
You sing a very wide, diverse range of stuff. Where does that come from? And how do you go about processing the voice to get the sounds that you come out? Like, 'cause obviously you do sing, like you can sing Akadaka.
yeah,
And it's like, it's so authentic. It's amazing. But that's obviously a different kind of voice to singing Frank Sinatra.
yeah. It's a thought process, I guess. And I look at it's like reading the crowd, right? If they want to hear, like, you want to hear some AC/DC? I want to hear some AC/DC. Why do they want to hear it? They want to see if you can do it, for starters, you know, because that's fucking up there.
It is. And it's
Right.
that gravelly voice.
Yeah. And you got to go there, right? And I say, all right. And I can see there's a lot of this, you know, for all the people that are like, oh, yeah, there's always someone, yeah. Let's see how this goes. It might be someone eating their steak with their, you know, back turned to you and they, yeah, I want to hear that. Let's see how you go, you know. So with that thought in mind, I'm like, I'm going to nail it just for you, you know. There could be, and there's probably no one, but, and I do it for myself too. So
Okay.
I tell myself, you can fucking do that. So let's try and do it. You know, and I'll go there because I know I can. You know, I'm going to go there. Like, you know, there are a lot, and I'm not being bad to anyone else that I sing with or have sung with or anyone else that vocally, blah, blah, blah. They probably couldn't go there, you know, go from one to the next.
That's one talent that you have that sets you apart from everyone else.
I think so. I think
The range of stuff. Like, it's like if you could go out and just do Frank Sinatra all night and nail it.
Yep.
And that would be magnificent. But the fact that you can, it must be really hard. I know we had a conversation a little while ago and you were talking about going out and doing a show and you wanted to do...
The chameleon.
Well, you wanted to do
everything.
Like, you want to do everything.
And that's still there. It's still actually
and I was
there.
thinking to myself, it's like, well, how are you going to market this? Because it's
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I want to...
And it's easier to market something. It's like, there's that one thing.
Yeah.
We can go out and sell that. That's the one thing. But you was like, I want to do girl stuff. I want to do the AC/DC. I want to do Frank Sinatra. I want to do Barry White.
I want to do R&B. I want to do rap. I want to do it all because I can and I have done.
Yes.
Right? And I believe that if I did a show like that and, you know, it would actually work, but there's a lot that have to be done there. And how would I do it? The thing about me is, like, I have these ideas in my head and that one's still there, you know, but I just don't go through with them. And that's the worst thing about me. So, you know, any youngsters out there, if it's in your head, fucking do it. Don't be like me, you know. You've got to go ahead and live your musical dream if there's such a dream, right? And I think I've been through so much and I've had my share of downs, ups and downs with the whole thing. So now I've just got to a point where, you know, just fucking, you know.
Speaking about, let's not call it a regret. Let's just say, what's a decision that you made or didn't make that you wish you could go back and change and do it and take a different path?
The Koi Boys. The fact that Nuzzy and Danny would probably disagree, but that's their right to do so. But I'll just say, like, we had a chance to go with TG, Tony Grace, from Harbour View Music, Harbour Agency down in Sydney, the biggest agent. You know, he put bloody Human Nature into Las Vegas. I mean, you can say what you want about those boys, but he said to us, like, those guys are like 24/7 music. They get up, eat, drink, shit it, right?
Yep.
And that's what we have to be. And he said to us, because we're at Koi, he came to Koi, right? Mm-hmm. Koi, which was our flagship place,
Yeah.
right? And where
It was home base.
We were home base, the Alamo for us. You
Yeah.
know, we were there 17. I was there for 14 years, bro. Right?
Yeah.
And all it was for me, now I think about it, as fun as it was just free piss, free drink, a good ego tip. You know, I was married at the time, and you know, the arrogant fucking asshole me I fucked up my marriage because of that, you know. I don't blame that. I just
It was just too easy.
Just too easy, you know. As I said, I get to a point where I've just drunk too much and just the gloves come off, bro. And I'm like, I'd admit it now because everyone else knows it. So, you know, the kind of person I am. But the regret that I have that when we did go on the show and then when we had that, we were hot. We were fucking hot there, especially back home. So there was that small window that we needed to make bigger and bigger and bigger and step through. And we met the right guy for it, Tony Grace. And he tried to instill us as, well, you got to get out of Koi. That's the first thing you got to do. Yeah, Koi was looking after us, bro. It was. I'll speak for myself. Looking after me. It was helping my ego. I mean, you might get Nuz in here one day. He'd give you a totally different story. So, but he said, you're going to get out of here because I can see 140 people at least. None of them are paying a ticket. So if they're not buying a ticket to come watch you, you're just buying booze and piss for someone else. You know, the guy out there with the flash car out there, which I won't say because I love him very much too. in the booze buying, food buying business.
Yeah.
And that's sort of stuck with
I
me.
had that once said to me. It's like, I had a person who said to me, do you think you're in the music industry? And I said, yeah, I go out and I play music. And he said, are people paying to see you play?
That's
I'm
right,
like,
bro.
no. Where's the money coming from
That's right,
that's paying your wage?
Yeah.
I'm thinking, people buying drinks and food.
Yeah.
So which industry are you in?
Yeah.
You're actually in the alcohol sales industry.
Yeah. And I'm going to stand on the camera and go, that's what we do, man.
Well, not everybody.
Well, yeah.
Not everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like there is something very special. It's great to go and do a gig where people are there to see the music. They're not there. That's the number one purpose of being where they are.
Yeah.
They're not there because, oh, well, we're going for a few drinks, we're meeting friends, we're having a chat. And that there's also music, but it's not necessarily the number one purpose. When people have paid a ticket price to come in and see you play, they're there to see you.
They're there to see you.
Yeah.
That's right. And that's
Although you guys did pull a large crowd into that venue, and they were there to see you.
Yeah.
They just weren't paying a ticket price.
Paying the ticket price.
Yeah.
And that's what he was trying to say to us.
Yeah.
If they're not buying a ticket, we want you to get out of here, and we want to fill a stadium, fill an auditorium of people specifically coming to see, merchandise outside, blah, 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 all the good stuff, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that the big guns do anyway, that you should be doing. You should have a thought of that's where we want to be,
Yeah.
So that is a regret that I have, that we didn't actually follow through. And like I said, Nuzzy will probably disagree. Danny will probably disagree as well. But I'm always held that thought. That's my regret. I'm allowed to have that. It's my personal regret that we didn't see it through.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, you guys parted company, and Danny explained that it was the fact that there was disagreements over how things should go, how things should proceed. He had his reasons of wanting to do certain things a certain way, and then you probably obviously had your reasons, and Nuz obviously had different aspirations. I mean, I don't know. What from your point of view, what brought that all unstuck?
Well, we were in the airport in Sydney. Danny pulled us both aside, decided that he'd had enough, right? So that was his decision. As far as I knew, we were still doing stuff. But, it obviously had been on his mind, and I think he'd just come to the end of the line with it, which is fair enough, man. I mean, people change. They just want to do that, and I've never held it against him. There are a couple of things that happened after that.
That's a completely separate issue, I guess.
Yeah. I don't care.
Well, there was. I mean, so let's clarify some of the things that happened after that. There was a contention about who owned the name of the band. Mm-hmm. There was that thing, and there was probably, as Danny put it, it's like he was, I think, arrogant. I don't know whether it was an arrogance thing, but there was definitely, I think, a lot of things that he said and did that I think he regrets now, that he wished that he hadn't.
Yeah.
And I guess it's probably everybody could say the same thing. It's that thing, he said he was angry and he was, and obviously in the heat of the moment probably said things that he probably wished that he hadn't. Do you find, is that the same sort of thing for you?
Absolutely.
Said,
he can say that though. He did, like, I'm no fucking angel, bro. I've made so many mistakes, and I'll be the first to admit the amount of mistakes I've made. And for what you just said there, like, he just felt like he just wanted to do what he did, and he did. If you, as I said, you want to get Nuzzy in here, you ask him too.
I guess the other side of the coin, you guys have known each other for so long. That must have been a moment that was like a bit of a shock in some ways.
Well, no, for me and Dan, let's talk about him and I personally.
Yeah.
It's just another layer on a cake that's been baked over the last 40 years between him and I. And I realised that, okay, that's just another layer on that cake, right? And I never take it personally. I've never taken any of it personally. I've just decided, right, I'm just going to, all right, cool, because that's what I'm like, man. I was like, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I'm not going to argue the point with it.
Yeah.
as far as the name, the Coin Boys, I would have been, if it was me,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to say this. If it was me that had to leave, I would have just left it at that. I wouldn't have gone through all that other stuff. Whatever that other stuff was, you've just touched on it, so I'm not going to repeat it.
Yeah.
I would have just gone, I'm out, and left it. I wouldn't have gone after the name, or I wouldn't have. That's not who I am. I would. That just creates more stuff that, as important as it probably was to him.
Yeah.
It probably was that.
Well,
important.
obviously was important because obviously he went there. So
it was important to him.
Yeah.
So, but I never held that against him, man. I've seen him just a couple of weeks ago, just at a gig, and every time I see him, I just put my arms around him and I just remember the good stuff that him and I have done, as opposed to and there's been some shitty shit too, but when I see him, and I don't see him much these days, and when I did see him, there were a part of me just, I gave in to all of the bad shit and just wanted. There's Dan. There's my brother Dan.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go through some of the bands that you have done, because there's been quite a lot.
Yeah, bro.
So can you name them all?
Yeah. Temperatures Rising. Chur-Bro.
Sure, bro.
Yeah, Chur-Bro. True. It was True.
True.
Sex and Chocolate.
Let's stop on there for a little bit, because Sex and Chocolate are still going.
Sex and Chocolate still going. Paulie, brother.
So how did Sex and Chocolate come about? Because obviously that was something that was quite successful and still is.
Yep.
And why would you leave something like that?
But only on the Gold Coast. Well, look, it was 90s, and that era of 90s R&B is unmistakably the only era of R&B there should ever be in the world of history of fucking planet Earth. Your Tupac's, your Next, Too Close, all those songs was fresh off the press, bro. And I was young, right? And I'm not young, stupid Kevin, Temperatures Rising, 20-year-old, don't know shit. Now I'm a little bit more older, and I'm a
Bit more savvy.
Physically happening now, and the facials are and we've lost a bit of weight. So we're looking good. We're looking tan. We surf every day, and that's where I met Tony Williams, right?
Yeah.
And we had a group named True, and that was me and the late great Chris Gere, and Paul Thompson,
Yep.
and Danny. So
Okay.
there was Chimbre. What were we called? Six. I can't remember what we were. There was me and Chris and Dan and Paul Thompson, the
Yep.
four of us.
Yep.
That's why this whole group thing on the Gold Coast is, to me, it's so fucking overdone. But anyway, there was us, and then obviously some more shit happened, and Danny moved on and did his own thing with another group, TK. So, and then there was Chris, me, and Paul, and we decided, and our sound man of the time was a good-looking bloke named Tony Williams, who just seemed to have more attention on the fucking sound man than what was happening with the group. I'd look down, there'd be 6 chicks talking to the fucking sound man, right? And here I am fucking trying to do my fucking, and fucking grinds on the stage, right? And they're loving the sound man, right?
Yep.
Because he's one good-looking, surfy, built like a brick shit house. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful man, And we had our arguments about that. I was like, hey, bro, just you fucking do your job on the fucking mixer, man. Just fucking stop talking. And then we had a fight over that. I remember I had a punch-up with
Oh,
Tony.
really? Wow.
We had a punch-up. Mind you, I had about 3 punch-ups with Tony through our whole career. But Sex and Chocolate, yeah. Chris left because I think I was being a dick again. And I'll say it. I blame myself for Chris leaving.
Yep.
Others would disagree. Miriam, his wife, even today, beautiful Miriam, she would agree too, because she actually told me, you're an asshole to Chris, And that's that whole thing that I've just brought it with me. But anyway, it was just me and Paulie left, and then Tony joined in, right? And Tony couldn't, I said, you can't fucking sing. He goes, well, No, can you? I went, yes, I can fucking sing. But then I noticed that, all right. I said, but, you know, the women just love you, bro. So you leave the singing up to me and you do your role. So we all had our roles, bro, you know? And I looked at it from that point of view, okay? You leave the singing to me because I would anchor us. I'd be our anchor, and everything else sort of revolved around what we did as a group. So it just took off. So we were young, and we started at this place in Broadbeach, the Cosmopolitan Restaurant, and the Watermark. Those were the good old days, bro. Like, and you know, R&B was just cranking then, and we were doing all the songs at the time, and plus, you know, we were doing a lot of gigs. We were visually acceptable too. We had that good look about us. 3 young guys, 3 in their 30s. You know, we were supposed to go on Starstruck, some TV program of the time.
Yep.
Starstruck, but I fucked that up too by going back to New Zealand because I was also married. So it's all came back to me, bro. Like, I was fucking shit up all over the place. So I had to go back home. I was married. And then I came back, and then we did the Sex and Chocolate thing, which lasted for a few years, just around here on the Gold Coast. Because to me, the Gold Coast was Hollywood to me. Didn't have to go outside it because
There's plenty of work.
Plenty of work.
And
surf, sun, ego, people looking after your ego, a serious amount of drugs and booze going around. And I'll admit it, you know, I did a lot of that. I don't do it anymore.
You have good memories from that era?
Great memories. I lived in a place called the Jiggy, which was a backpackers. So I had my little room out the back, and it was just wake up, go for a surf. Time we on? Yeah, cool. Are the cones on? Yeah. All right, I'll come up. You know, big sessions, smoke weed, play tennis, go surfing. That's all we did. Ate. I mean, live in it, bro, you know? Yeah. Didn't have to go out anywhere, but just live in it. And I sort of blocked out all the serious things that needed to be taken care of. Like I knew I had kids going on that were getting older, but I just, yeah, I turned my back on all of that. And I'm going to be eternally sorry. And that's a regret, a massive one, and it's come back to haunt me.
So given all of that...
Sorry.
No, I was going to say, given all of that, why did you move on from Sex and Chocolate?
Oh, because, you know...
Chris left, Tony joined.
Then Chris passed away, right? And then Tony passed away, yeah.
Because you and Tony were very close.
Yes. Very close. I mean, the week before he passed away, I'd actually been with him in his unit. So, you know, that's where he passed away, in his unit.
That had a big effect on you. Is that something that still haunts you to this day?
Yeah. There were, for 2 to 3 years after that, that time of the year was just, it's still like every year at that time of the year. I mean, especially around the 23rd, 24th, around that Christmas Day area, Christmas Eve area. It
was quite a traumatic thing to have to go through, and losing someone that you were so close to.
Yeah. And in that way.
What did you do career-wise after that particular point?
Paulie and I got to a point where I didn't want to do it anymore, and I was only doing it now. And we had people filling in now, and it just wasn't the same, man. It wasn't the same for me. And and we had Taj McCaskill, the great Taj McCaskill. God bless his soul.
What a talented man he is. Yeah.
You know, he's gone now too, as well. He filled in for us, and that was fun. But it was never the same, you know, and I'm not shitting on anyone that came in and filmed. So to me, it just waned, and it gradually went out. And by now, I had started just before Tony had passed away, I was already doing the Koi Boy thing with Dan and Nuz at a new place called Koi Bar, right?
Yep.
So at that time, it was just another gig to me, and Dan rings me up, bro, free on a Sunday? We weren't working as Sex and Chocolate on Sunday. Yeah, man. So there was no loyalty to a group. It's another gig, right? I'll do it.
So you were doing several of them at the same
man,
time.
I'd go anywhere if the price is right.
Yeah.
You know, as you do, man. It's just, you gotta make some money. So I ended up at Koi and I was doing it already, but Tony was still alive. He'd come down to Koi and, and sit there and get on the piss. And he says, don't forget we've got a gig next. Yeah, bro. In the meantime,
Yeah.
So he didn't mind. Paulie didn't mind. At least I think Paulie didn't mind, but Paulie he's living in Brisbane, so I saw Tony all the time, but he didn't mind, and then he passed away. I'd already been doing this Koi Boy thing, and then Paulie and I, we just come apart, right? And I just stopped with Sex and Chocolate. We were still up at East's. Remember East's?
Yep.
We were still up there doing the Thursday nights there. I got to East one day, and that's the night Paulie and I we just parted, and I didn't go back again. And he's, to his credit, taken Sex and Chocolate and made it, a brand.
Yep.
He's gone on with it, and
He's doing great.
He's doing great things. He's done great things with the name. He's upheld that legacy.
Yeah.
And he's made it a legacy, and brother, he's kept Tony's memory alive by doing and keeping that name alive as well. So, and for me, I just couldn't do it. If Bones ain't there on the left, then I'm.
So, from Section Chocolate, then you're basically. I mean, initially, I guess it wasn't called the Koi Boys because you guys were just doing gigs and it didn't really have a name.
No, didn't have a name. We had to come up with a name on The Voice when we went on The Voice.
Yeah.
It was Nuzzy there.
Was there anything else in between? Was it straight from Sex and Chocolate into Koi Boys, and was there any other thing? Because I know you were doing obviously solo gigs and stuff as well.
Solos, duos, wherever you go, right? And then there was the Koi Boy thing. There's the Sex and Chocolate. We finished that. It just went from one group, and it's all. It's just one group to another. Keeping that whole visual people see with their ears thing alive. That's my whole point, bro. Right? And now getting older, and not as much attention as being, because when you're a whole younger, you just think you're at the top of the world. I remember being at Sylvester's, and an old guy goes, "Don't forget, all old young men get old." Because I was walking around there like I owned the place, right? Fucking arrogant son of a bitch. Bro, honestly, just walking around like, I'm the shizners all over Gold Coast. Really, bro, it's like, man, that's just so old, man. And now that I realise that I'm 56 this year, and, things are starting to fall away, and they have been for a while. And my ego's taking constant punch in the guts, and I'm only glad now to this day that I can still sing like a fucking beast, bro, because that's all I've got left. But no, it hasn't. That's not all I've got left. I reckon there's still 20, 15 years still left in the tank to do something honest with myself.
Yeah.
And I've been saying it now for a little while to try and find some sort of legacy that at least Kivy did that before I'm pushing mushrooms up out of the ground, bro,
Yeah. Where can people come and see you perform?
I don't want to tell you.
At the moment. Where can people come and see you perform at the moment?
Look, man, I do a cool little gig in Vita at Broadbeach every other Sunday, like this Sunday, and then have a break in every other Sunday. But I've just started at a place in Southport, which there's some really good things on the horizon, but I'm sort of seeing how that works out. But I'm there 7 days a week now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the guy that's, he's a lovely man. It's somewhere where I might pull up my flag and pull up a flag and point it in there. This is Kevin country now. I want to get to a point where the only place you can see me is at this place, unless I'm going to go and do like the Arts Centre or somewhere where people are paying to see me.
Yeah.
At that level, there's but I want to make it, I've asked for a stage in there, I've sent a proposal in there, and I've had it I've sent 7 proposals in my lifetime, brother, and all of them got a no, apart from this one. So, there's a light at the tunnel, but it's still a ways away, but it's getting bigger.
I will put links to all of the stuff that I can. So there's Coy Boys, and I'll include the Jess McGarry stuff.
Yeah.
Kev's contacts and social media. Is that something that you keep up to date with these days?
No. And I've been told, man, you need to get your Instagram going. I'm going, do I?
Kev's going to get that happening, and I'll put it down in the link down below.
Yeah, I should because, but...
I think the biggest thing that this podcast is about is showing that people have a different path.
Yeah.
Everybody makes their own particular way. I mean, you've made a life playing music. You've actually made a whole career out of being a singer.
Yeah.
And that's no small feat just in and of itself.
Yeah, and it's come from, I was selling weed for the Black Power back in Wellington before I came here.
Wow.
So my path was headed in a whole different direction, man. Like
you were saying, you'd spent some time being incarcerated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
as a young fella.
Yeah, and in New Zealand, that looked like it was probably going to be the way things went.
Well, there's a lot of, there's been some series and documentaries about the way, in the 80s, a lot of those incarcerated for the the youth of the time, they weren't no holiday camp, man. There was some shit that went on there. And I saw it too when I was there. It happened to me a couple of times, but not as bad as some others. But not to the point where I needed to come back 20 years later and say that, but I saw it. It traumatizes. You see things and you go through things as a youngster. And I'm only glad that I found music to take it out on, I guess.
Yeah.
Just a few bad things that happened to me came with me.
You've had a lot of layers of trauma. You've had some wonderful things as well, but it's hard to escape those things and put them in your past and not have them come back from time to time.
And getting back to gigs, man, the only gig I love to do now is the ones I get to do with Westy. And with Russ and with Sherman, all the guys from Brisbane. So whenever they call me, man, I just drop and go because they let me play.
Yeah.
And I love that. Because I want to be like...
Does that take you back to being a busker?
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I can hear them giggling behind me because I hit a lot of bung notes, man. And, I can hear them giggling. I was you get up there with beasts like Westy and Terapai.
Oh, man.
Max Stowers, all those guys who like seasoned vets.
They're amazing.
I know, bro.
Wonderfully
Yourself?
talented people.
I'm only glad that you've never had to be on a stage with me while I'm playing the guitar, bro.
I've done it with Danny.
And how's Dan?
Oh, he's great.
Yeah. Of course he is. He's actually really good.
He's a talented man.
Yeah. But if I'm D minor, A minor, man, you got me, right? Just stay in the pocket, Kiwi. That's all you got. And sometimes you just go, crack. And just wait for your next line, and that's all you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking for that. But if you've got chung-a-link, chung-a-link, chung-a-link...
Well, you obviously know 10 guitars.
Yeah, right? It's not all grab the cake, go for a C and go... Chung, 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 chung. There's too much.
Well,
You could just... I like to just... And then if it gets too much, if I know I'm wrong, I start turning the guitar right down and I like to have it in my hand. I like to... If anything, it looks like I'm the part. And, Terapai said to me, bro, you don't need to. Just sing. People here to see you sing, man. So what's with the insecurity there? You didn't...
Well...
Don't be a muso, because you're not.
It's the dichotomy that is Kev.
Yeah.
It's the insecurity, and then on the other side of that is the ego.
Yeah, I want to be this guy, right? I want to be him, but I can't. But I can be, but only on certain songs. And Westy, getting back to West, he knows what songs I'm going to do because those are the only ones I can play really, 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 really well. Every time I punch out Black and Gold, bro, he's just like, oh, here it comes. But.
Well, at that particular point...
Sorry, bro. Yep.
That's all right. I think we should... I should say thank you very much, Kev.
Thank you, Scott.
It's always an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I hope it's been interesting.
Thanks, Kev.
Thanks, Scott. Thank you. See you, brother.
Thank you very much for listening and watching, and hopefully we'll see you on the next one.